First things first, what we're going to be talking about today is how I had the most productive, amazing day ever. It was the best day, Aaliyah. It was the best day, y'all. And I'm going to tell y'all why it was the best day, because it was so much productivity that happened. With that being said, it was one thing that I did that transformed how my entire day went. I want to share it with y'all because I want to see if it's something that you can incorporate into your life. And it doesn't involve me buying a journal. It doesn't involve me getting a new planner. It doesn't involve me waking up at 5 a.m. So for those who don't know me, I am on a weight loss journey. And my niece here, which she doesn't want to be on camera, but anyway, my niece, not today, she said, not today. My niece told me when I was doing real good on my diet and how I was looking real snatched, and then 2 months later, she saw me and she was like, you're not looking snatched no more. So, the key thing that happened this week that set the tone for my entire day was, typically, when I take my son to football practice in the mornings, he has to be there at 7:30. So he wakes me up at 7:15. And typically on a typical day, y'all, I will go take him to football practice at 7:30 or 7:15 or whatever and carry my butt back to sleep. And I would stay asleep until about 10 o'clock some days, 9 a.m. on a good day. But the fact of the matter is, some days I would stay asleep and just, get my rest because I work from home. But at the same time, getting my rest really was a trap for me. Just being lazy. It was being lazy. So what I did was, instead of going back to sleep this week, I stayed woke. And staying woke transformed everything for me, because I was able to get so much stuff done during the time that he was gone. I was able to start on my job earlier. I was able to get ready earlier. I was able to focus. I even ordered groceries that night before. That was the other crucial thing I wanted to tell y'all that I did, was ordering my groceries and having all of my food ready for in the morning, versus me running to the grocery store later in the day, or running to the grocery store that afternoon or that evening. All them groceries are sitting in my front porch at 7:30 a.m. right after I dropped him off. Man, when I tell you that helped me out. Now, I also wanted to say how, the reason why this is so important to me is because even if I did go back to sleep, or even if I went to lay back down in the bed sometimes, what do I get caught doing? Scrolling, or just falling asleep, or just having to restart. Because once he already got me woke, I'm already up. So I needed to just stay woke, versus you go back to sleep, or you go back into the death scroll, and then you scroll for an hour, and then your day is just off. And that's what was happening. Another reason why this was the best day ever, productivity wise, is because I'm looking for a new job, and I had a job interview. But I had a job interview at 9 a.m., which of course I couldn't sleep late that day anyway. But I studied for the job interview that evening before, but at the same time, getting up and at them at 7 versus just waiting till the last minute, or rushing, or going to lay back down and being like, oh, I'll get up at 8:15 or something like that, or even 8:30. All of that just was gonna ruin things. So me staying woke after I dropped him off, it just set the tone for just being mentally prepared. I was able to check my work inbox, review emails, get started on that. Even I was able to get that to a good place before I jumped into a whole new interview. Now, as y'all know, I have a 9-year-old too. Do I have to cook food for a 9-year-old diabetic? What's wrong? Okay, I have a 9-year-old. It was gonna storm. As y'all know, I have a 9-year-old diabetic who I have to cook for, who I have to prepare for. So that grocery delivery really helped me out with making sure he had a proper breakfast that morning, making sure he had protein, making sure not just myself was set up for success, but for him, and making sure my football player was set up for success. So all of that really has a trickle down effect. When I don't do things properly and in a way that's going to set myself up for productivity, it just trickle downs into my kids. And as a parent, you know, that's the last thing you really want to happen, is for things to have a bad influence on your kids. And that's ultimately what was happening too. Even though, you know, that's a hard thing to admit, that's what was happening. It looked bad over there. Should we be going this way? Okay, and another thing that I did that day that made things productive and less stressful was, you know, laundry, it just never ends. I don't know how y'all house look, but my laundry don't never end. But that day, this week, I particularly and intentionally said to myself, I'm doing one load of laundry. And guess what? That's cool. That's cool. That's enough. Doing one load, that's enough. It's enough. That got me to what I needed, because one, I didn't have to, you know, hear nobody asking about they ain't got no underwear or, you know, things like that. I set it up where I was like, I'm gonna make sure I do one load of laundry, boom, boom, bop, everything is cool with that. So that also made things go on a productive, kind of smooth, a smooth day. Normally what I would do is I would stress out and be like, oh, I got all these clothes to wash, so I gotta do this and I gotta do that. But I realized that that's just a recipe for disaster. Because if you set up in your mind, if you set your mind to be like, okay, I'm only doing one, and then you do one, that's a win. But if you set in your mind, oh, I got to wash all of this, and then you don't do it, then you back to feeling like you feel, which is sucky, you know. Then another thing that I did was I made sure I went back to exercising. Like I said, she was saying that you know, I wasn't looking right. I wasn't looking like I was on the right track no more. And I wasn't on the right track. So I went to do, and I went to I think I went to spin class, or I went to a strength training class. And what I had found was I'm gonna incorporate more strength training class and just lifting weights at home, because no, I see now that the weight training is necessary. It's effective. Everybody want to say cycling is what you need to be doing. You need to be spinning. Because if you spin, yeah, maybe. But for what I saw for myself, I saw that the strength training was better for me. You know, I started seeing a change in my body, and others did too. So I want to mention, like, one thing about one of the food items that I got that was, like, literally, I feel like it's going to be a staple in my life for the rest of my life, as long as I don't stop making it. And that is the drinkable yogurt. So the drinkable Greek yogurt. Emphasis on drinkable Greek yogurt, because the Greek yogurt has the protein in it. And apparently the older we get, the more we need protein. So the Greek yogurt has the protein in it, and it's low on sugar. So the Greek yogurt that I got, I think it had like 4 grams of sugar and like 24 grams of protein. And the reason why the drinkable is key for me is because I know it might be insignificant and small, but taking away the spoon, that helps me out. And don't act like it's a big, well, girl, why would that be a big deal? Try it. Like a friend of mine, I always talk about anything that's resistance. Well, for me, resistance is a spoon. Because truth be told, I hate eating. Like, I do. I hate eating. It's a chore. I do. I mean, I like eating, but I hate the idea of having to prepare food. I hate food in a sense where the drinkable yogurt, you just open it up and go, done. I got my protein. I got some low calorie. I got some all the stuff. But when I gotta get a spoon, I gotta eat it. I gotta eat it, and I gotta open it, and I gotta make a mess. Then I gotta put my spoon in the sink, or I gotta get a plastic spoon. It's just, y'all just don't understand. Me in the kitchen, anything that has to do with food and me, I know I like to eat, but I just don't like. I wish I was a robot that didn't need to eat every day. Man, life would be great. Another successful thing with today, or that day, was the dinner. So when I ordered the groceries, like, I know that lady who everybody's talking about, remember that cottage cheese and the sausage eating girl?
It's the pork sausage with mustard and cottage cheese.
I was like, man, I'ma just go ahead, and I ain't gonna even lie, y'all. I'ma keep that in my Rolodex of meals, because that was good. It tasted good to me, and I ate that. That day. More protein, you know, the meat protein, got a little fat in it, but you know, and then the cottage cheese, and I ate me a little Caesar salad with it and everything. I had exercised that day. It was so good. It was so good. Just that day, it's just nothing. It wasn't a perfect day, but it was a good day. Like, it was a good day. And my thing is, if I can make the rest of the days kind of set up like this, where I have food. I didn't have meal prepped, but I had food available ready, that I knew what I wanted to eat with what. My kids was taken care of. Their food was taken care of. I was woke. I was productive with my job. I was productive with my job interview. And, you know, me and my husband had a conversation too that day about disciplining our sons, and like a whole nother, like, I can make a whole nother video about that. I'm gonna write that down so that I can, but like where we wanna change and what we wanna do and how we should feel, because how I feel is, if it don't make me feel bad, it ain't tough enough. That's my new rule. And I want to say I went to bed at 10 o'clock that night. Did I? No, I don't think so. That was another night. That was another night. And that was another thing that, oh, it felt so good. But I really feel like the lessons that I learned and the things that mattered, that made this a very productive day, the most productive day I've had in months, is one, preparing the night before. You know, even though the preparation was minuscule, I had food, and my food was ready to go. You know, two, staying woke after I dropped my son off. Like, this wasn't you wake up at 5 a.m., 4 a.m., be productive. No, I just woke up at 7 and just stayed woke, you know. And in my mind too, I was like, you know, if he can do it, I can do it. If he out here and I'm full grown and he out here, you know, going hard for this football and stuff, then I should be able to do this, you know. Number three, like, that one load of laundry was essentially me saying, don't try to do it all. Just do what you can, or say whatever it is you think you want to do. Like, just nibble at it. Nibble at the stuff that needs to be done as far as motherhood. Number four, like the drinkable yogurt, y'all. I feel like the message there is just keeping myself fueled properly. Because remember, I was only eating, like, I would eat breakfast too late. That's not gonna work no more. Like, figure out how to make protein shakes in the morning. And even that's another thing. Like, if I'm not gonna make it, if me putting it in the blender is too much for me personally, drinkable yogurt, already ready to go protein shake. Like, this is really a thing for me. I don't know, a juice cleanse might be in my future, because I'm cool with drinking. I think the last thing is really about, like, the fifth and final thing is really about getting the proper rest. And, you know, knowing that you need to rest and reset, or knowing that you need to, you know, you need to start off strong, or something along those lines. Like, I really felt like, wow, like, I really was feeling this day. I really was feeling it, and it was the best day I had in months. Like, I hope that I'm able to start the week off this week with that same MO, because, yeah. And, you know, hopefully this encourages you You know, if you've been struggling with this, like, what is one thing you can do differently? Drop it in the comments. One thing that you can do differently. Is there one thing from this video that you feel like, oh man, that sounds like it'll work for me too? You know, one thing. Drop it in the comments. Let me know what one thing you could do to make this work for you too.